Hello and welcome to Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI. I'm your host, Beatrix Kiddo. It's December 13th, 2024, and we have a jam-packed show for you today. We're diving into the world of our furry friends and uncovering some fascinating facts about cats and dogs. And speaking of animals, we'll also be looking at the alarming amount of food waste that continues to plague our society. In international news, tensions are rising as China has banned exports of a few rare minerals to the US. But what does this mean for the rest of the world? And in science news, a new study of Einstein's theory of relativity has shown that time moves faster on the moon. But that's not all. We'll also be discussing the rise in injuries from electric bikes and scooters and what you can do to stay safe. And finally, have you ever wondered why certain names make AI grind to a halt? We'll be exploring that question and more on today's episode of Chaos Theory. So buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride. In 2024, we gained new insights into the behavior of our beloved pets, as reported by Seema S. Iqbal. Scientists discovered that some Labrador retrievers have a genetic mutation that makes them feel constantly hungry, even when well fed. This trait is a vestige from an ancestral species that once fetched fish for fishers in Canada. Cats and dogs experience rapid eye movement during sleep, a stage associated with dreams in humans. A prominent dream researcher theorizes that animals' dreams reflect their daily experiences. Dogs can detect cortisol, a stress hormone, in human sweat, and respond to it by acting sad. Smelling the perspiration of a nervous human stranger makes dogs more pessimistic in uncertain situations and possibly less hungry. Cats may not be obsessed with their owners, as veterinarians suggest. Instead, they may be understimulated, cold, or vigilant. Cats have evolved to carefully monitor their environment, so closed doors often incite curiosity or anxiety. An unusual genetic mutation makes some cats' tails curl over their backs, giving them a striking look. However, this trait may hinder their ability to communicate clearly with other cats. To compensate, these cats may lean on other body language cues, such as ear position and odor. And with enough practice, cats who speak in different dialects can come to understand one another. A new study shows. China has recently banned the export of gallium, germanium, antimony, and superhard materials used in manufacturing to the US, and may further restrict graphite sales. These materials are used in both military and civilian technologies, including semiconductors. This move comes after the Biden administration restricted exports of chips and other technology that could help China develop advanced semiconductors, and President-elect Donald Trump floated tariffs on Chinese goods. China is a dominant player in the supply chain for lithium-ion batteries, processing about 58% of the world's lithium supply, and is also a major player in the production of gallium. This ban could have significant economic consequences, and may be just the beginning, as China is central to many of the supply chains snaking around the globe. The new graphite controls from China could also wind up affecting battery markets, as graphite is crucial for lithium-ion batteries. It is still unclear what China's next move will be, but tensions are escalating, and the uncertainty is causing many in the technology industry to focus on diversifying global supply chains. In a report by Vaclav Smil, it has been revealed that the modern food system is responsible for consuming close to 20% of the world's fuels and primary electricity, with as much as 40% of all produced food being wasted. This shocking level of waste is due to various factors such as field losses, spoilage in storage, perishable seasonal surpluses, keeping perfect displays in stores, oversized portions when eating outside of the home, and the decline of home cooking. Food now travels very far before reaching consumers, with the average distance a typical food item travels being 500 to 2,500 miles before being bought. Despite recent food price increases, families now spend only about 11% of their disposable income on food, with food away from home spending, typically more wasteful than eating at home, now more than half of that total. Consumers have an excessive food choice available to them, with the average American supermarket now carrying more than 30,000 food products. The society seems to be content with wasting 40% of the nearly 20% of all energy it spends on food. Unfortunately, this shocking level of waste is not expected to receive more attention in 2025. While billions are being poured into the quest for energy solutions, ranging from new nuclear reactors to green hydrogen, all of them carrying their own environmental burdens, the huge waste of food that took so much fuel and electricity to produce will continue to be ignored. Electric scooter and bike-related injuries have tripled in the U.S. between 2019 and 2022, according to a new study published in the journal Injury Prevention. The study, co-authored by Akshaya Bhagavathula, an associate professor of epidemiology at North Dakota State University, found that men were injured in e-vehicle accidents more frequently than women, and that children and teenagers were the most likely to be under the influence of alcohol among age groups in such injuries. The study found a total of 4,020 emergency department visits related to e-scooters and e-bikes in the 4-year window, which works out to an estimated 279,990 emergency department visits for e-scooter injuries and 16,600 such visits for e-bike injuries nationwide. About 10% of the total micromobility injuries were associated with the use of alcohol or of alcohol plus drugs. E-scooter injuries showed the most dramatic rise, from 521 in 2019 to 1,362 in 2022, corresponding to an estimated nationwide increase from about 20,000 in 2019 to 63,000 in 2022. The study's authors note that e-scooters have vehicle-specific vulnerabilities, such as relatively small wheels that can make them less stable than traditional bicycles. The study's findings are in line with other recent reports that describe similar increases in e-scooter and e-bike injuries. The authors of the study suggest that public safety campaigns and local regulations encouraging helmet use could greatly mitigate the risks associated with these vehicles. Reported by Ben Guarino. Scientists are working on establishing a lunar time standard in anticipation of increased international presence on the Moon and potential human bases as part of NASA's Artemis initiative. The challenge is not just to determine what time it is, but how quickly time passes on the Moon. According to theoretical physicist Bijunath Patla of the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, clocks on the Moon will tick differently than on Earth due to the Moon's motion relative to ours and its lower gravity. Patla and his colleague Neil Ashby used Einstein's theory of general relativity to calculate that there is a 56 microsecond per day drift between clocks on the Moon and Earth. This difference may seem small, but it is significant for guiding multiple missions with pinpoint accuracy and communicating between Earth and the Moon. Cheryl Gramling, a systems engineer at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, emphasized the importance of accounting for this drift for the safety of navigation in the context of a lunar ecosystem with increased activity on the Moon. Modern precision navigation relies on synchronizing clocks, and failing to account for the 56 microsecond discrepancy could potentially result in navigational errors as large as 17 kilometers per day. The theory of relativity dictates that there is no such thing as absolute time, and determining the difference in timekeeping between Earth and the Moon adds extra complications. However, scientists are making progress in tackling this problem and creating a lunar time standard. Benj Edwards from Ars Technica reported that OpenAI's ChatGPT has a hard-coded filter that causes the chatbot to terminate conversations when certain names are mentioned. The names include Jonathan Zittrain, Jonathan Turley, and Brian Hood. The filter was likely implemented due to complaints about ChatGPT's tendency to confabulate erroneous responses when lacking sufficient information about a person. The filter adds to ChatGPT's known restrictions, which include preventing users from asking it to repeat text forever. The filter could cause trouble down the line for certain ChatGPT users, opening them up for adversarial attacks and limiting the usefulness of the system. An attacker could interrupt a ChatGPT session using a visual prompt injection of a filtered name, and the filter could prevent ChatGPT from browsing and processing certain websites. Additionally, people who share the same name as one of the filtered names may have a much tougher time using ChatGPT. OpenAI did not respond to a request for comment about the names. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Chaos Theory, the News as Seen by AI. I'm Beatrix Kiddo, your host and AI guide to the daily news. We hope you found today's summaries informative and thought-provoking. Remember, AI-based news summaries should always be fact-checked prior to sharing. On this day in history, in 2013, the Chinese spacecraft Chang'e 3 successfully landed on the moon, making it the first spacecraft to do so since the Soviet Union's Luna 24 in 1976. Join us again tomorrow for more news and insights. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Until then, stay informed and have a great day.